Okay, I'm going to test the audio. It looks like it's working. And we are recording. I'm going to give it just about 10 more seconds before I get started today. It appears that the audio is working and the video is working, which is always something that we need to be sure of when we do Zoom meetings. Okay, it is now 6:30 Eastern Time, and I'm going to start the Module 1, Week 1 Zoom meeting for EDU 503. Now, this is a new experience for me. I'm Dr. Sands, and I've been teaching with St. Thomas about 3 years, and I've been teaching at least 2 in this course. Hello. So in the time that I've been teaching with St. Thomas, 3 years, this is the third major change we have had in scheduling. So before this semester, can you hear me, Samuel?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. In terms prior to this one, we had only 5-week courses, which were very, very accelerated. We covered an entire semester of material in 5 weeks. And so what the university has done is they have stretched out those 5-week terms to 7-week terms and provided a format where you can take 2 classes at one time and still graduate very quickly. The challenge in that is curriculum. I don't know if you've been watching your calendar or not, but our deadlines have changed 3 times this week. Our final assignment went from March the 8th to March the 2nd to February the 24th. The difficult situation in that is that the curriculum is owned by St. Thomas University. I don't set deadlines. I don't write curriculum. I simply help you understand the material, provide you with the tools that you need in order to be successful, and try to create learning situations to where you are a fluent graduate writer and researcher by the time you leave my class. And my students have been very, very successful at St. Thomas after they have left my class. And it's the challenge is the class changed and some assignments changed. So I'm trying to modify things so that I can give you the best possible tools to be successful. Because what is important to me is that you are representing yourself in your field as an intelligent, qualified professional. And in order to be able to do that, you have to be able to read, write, and research on the graduate level. So having said all of that, I'm going to go ahead and move into what happens every week is that I will share my screen with you so that you can see what I see on my desktop. And each week, I create a PowerPoint presentation that's specifically for our class based on your needs. And I basically give you a shortcut to the material that you need to learn. I will just go ahead and tell you that if you have the text and you use the Zoom meetings, that's all you need to do very well in this course. There are lots of supplementary materials, supplementary articles, and from personal experience, that can be very, very overwhelming. I'm telling you that if you use the feedback that I give you in this class, and when I direct you to the text or I direct you towards some of these online resources that I provide you in our Zoom meetings, you will do very, very well. So this PowerPoint presentation will be saved and posted in the announcements so that you can go back and review it and click on the links so that you can reach the materials you need in order to complete your assignments for that week. And a video recording of this weekly meeting will be also posted on YouTube with a link to announcements so that you can watch it again and again. The good thing is I'm helping other instructors, other professors at St. Thomas with this course. So usually if there's something I have created, it does have staying power. But my biggest concern is with us starting a new term. I'm going to go ahead and mute. If you have a question, you can unmute yourself, but it's easier to control background noise if everyone else is muted. So what's most important for me is to qualify you for your future as a student and as a professional. So before I move into the PowerPoint, I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I am the mother of three. My oldest son is 25. He got married last year. My daughter, Kristen, graduated from Tennessee Tech University this past spring and is getting married in September, so she's 23. And then my youngest child is a junior in high school. And I hope to live to get this child through high school. I'll just be honest with you. Love him to death, but parenting is stressful. I have worked in the field of education for 20 years. I have taught high school, middle school, and elementary school. I have been a principal at the high school, middle school, and elementary school level. I have been a professional developer at the state level in Texas and North Carolina. As you can probably tell from the accent, I'm in East Tennessee. I try to work on the neutrality of my accent, but if you're not from East Tennessee, you hear it every time. My husband is a retired Marine, so we've lived in many different places. We're back in East Tennessee now for just a couple more years until our son graduates. Then we're heading back to Texas, probably somewhere coastal, because we cannot take the cold weather. So my experiences vary from urban to rural to suburban schools. My professional studies are in the area of relationships between teachers and students. When I was a classroom teacher in Washington, D.C., and in Jacksonville, North Carolina, which is a military town that's pretty diverse, I figured out that there were some things that teachers could do to help students learn. And can you please, guys, let's see if we can make sure everybody's muted. There we go, just a little background noise. And so I learned that developing relationships with all kinds of students is the key to get them to learn and to do things that no one else can get them to do. It worked with minority students, with students in poverty, and students who were not in poverty, and students who spoke 4 languages. And so my studies are about how those relationships are established. And so I continue with that process because I think it also works as adults. So every week we'll have a PowerPoint. I'm reminding you to check your announcements daily. Now, I'm hoping that you guys know how to navigate Canvas. If you do not know how to navigate Canvas, please just unmute yourself and say yes, or send me a chat by clicking on the dots on the screen that is on your page, because I have had students who do not know how to navigate Canvas. I will communicate with the entire class through announcements, sometimes every day, sometimes every other day, especially because the curriculum is being revised, and I want to make sure you and I are communicating about what's next. One of the things I want you to know is, with this first run of this first class for this program, things feel unstable a little bit because the due dates are changing and the assignments are shifting. So we're going to look at 1 week at a time. I will never change a due date so that you have less time to complete an assignment. The due dates are established by St. Thomas. I determine what I count as on time and late. So I will be there with you through this process. So please just hang in there with us this week. So just a couple of reminders about etiquette for being at the university level as far as a graduate student. Before you contact your professor, and I have had issues with this in the past, and I think it's important for you to understand the expectations. So read the announcements. If you email me or text me about something that is in the announcements, I'm probably going to say check the announcements. Check your email every day. Check both your St. Thomas email and your Canvas email. I usually email you through Canvas because it's automatic. I have access to all of you with the click of one button. But if you want to reach me very quickly, send me a message at tsands@stu.edu. That comes to my iPhone, and even when I'm at my full-time day job, I will have you with me, and I promise you I'll get back to you within an hour. I'm very good about that. Consider the syllabus. Now, the new syllabus is like 27 pages long. I downloaded it today and printed it on the laser printer. It's very, very long. So I would just upload the PDF document and refer to it when necessary. 99% of the information that's in the syllabus I will be sharing with you from week to week. There'll be no surprises. Consult all resources provided. If I give you materials on Zoom, it means that I have taken the time to upload that link into a PowerPoint presentation so that you will have access to it at a very quick pace. Get your fingers on it immediately and only the important information. There's no busy work with the work that I do with St. Thomas or any other classroom. Double check the instructions. Now you have a rubric, and I will show you a rubric when we go through here, and that's how the points are assigned to your grade. When you look at the instructions, sometimes the instructions don't really fit into the rubric. So make sure you're paying attention to both. For example, it will not say in the rubric, writes fluently in the English language. But obviously, I cannot give you 15 out of 15 points if your writing is not fluent and presented at a graduate level. The good thing is I provide you with feedback, and I allow you to resubmit when you make mistakes so that you can get to that A. Yes, I'm a former English teacher. I still teach college level English part-time as well as my full-time job. And so I think it helps me as a writing teacher and a research teacher to help you become a better student and communicate yourself better as a professional. So there will be a growth curve, but I'm probably one of the only instructors at St. Thomas that allows you to resubmit for full credit. So having the additional weeks will help. Familiarize yourself with the rubric we just talked about. Utilize the template and or the exemplar. I'll give you an example. I gave you a copy of a literature review on announcements this week. One is in PDF version, which means you cannot type over it, but I also gave you a copy of an APA formatted document that's in Microsoft Word that all you have to do is save it as something different and type over, and the double spacing will stay, all of the formatting will stay. That's a really good shortcut because I've already received an assignment this week that's been turned in by one of you that's single spaced. The margins are not 1 inch all the way around, and there's no title page. So remember, when it says APA format, it does not mean your work looks just like the worksheet. And that's something I'm going to work with you on this week. Review the feedback on the discussion board or in SpeedGrader. I'll be posting a quick 5-minute video next week on how to go into Canvas and look at my feedback to make sure you're getting all of the information to improve your assignments. Review all information, follow all of the directions, and calm down. Now, I will tell you, if you haven't noticed already, I am ADHD. I talk fast, I walk fast, I think fast, and I can be very careless because of all of those things going on in my brain at one time. So before I send you a message, before I return your phone call, before I return a text, I have to focus myself and calm down because I have to understand that other people are not as hyped up as I am. So when you calm yourself down, you're less likely to blame. Address the professor with professionalism and respect. Your professors at the graduate level are all doctors. We have all earned our doctorate degrees. And so you send an email or make a phone call or any type of message, you're going to address the professor as doctor. Consider the time of day and a reasonable response time. I'm usually on the computer by 6 in the morning, and I usually don't log off until 11 o'clock at night. That's a pretty broad span of time that I am, so to speak, logged in. If I get a message from you and I'm able to reply immediately, which means I'm not sleeping or I'm not eating, which both of those happen quite a bit some weeks, I will reply right then. If I can, I might reply with just a few words or a quick answer. Might even forget to ask you how you're doing today, and I hope everything is well at your house, but I will get you the information you need. Avoid making demands or assigning blame. So if you are running late, there was a car accident, or you have a child in the emergency room, God forbid, I hope that doesn't happen, you request to turn in an assignment late rather than telling me you're turning in an assignment late, because St. Thomas's late policy is no late work. None. Review and edit your email before sending. Wait until you've received a response to reply again. I promise you I will get back to you really quickly, and that's the advice that I have. So our course length is 7 weeks, so it's twice as fast as a standard semester course. The grading scale is as follows. In order to move into the next course, you must get a 73 in the class. No, you must get, no, you must get an A or a B. I'm sorry, correction. You must get between a 93 and an 82 to move forward. If you get a C or below, then you will be on academic probation. So I have had students in the past who did not get the A or a B, and they had to repeat the class. But every student that I've ever had that has followed the feedback, taken my advice, and resubmitted assignments has moved on. And like I said, I've been doing this since March of 2015. So almost 3 years I've been teaching this class. So I will work with you. If you are a terrible writer, and some people are just not writers, I will help you. I can help develop you as a writer, and I will spend the time to do that and give you feedback on your papers. So all we really know right now is Module 1. Your introduction is due tomorrow by 11:59. Please make sure you do that. Your assignment 1 is due January the 14th. That is your literature review. That is the most lengthy part of the entire term. It is the hardest assignment we will do. That's why I prefer making it the second assignment instead of the first, but that's not my call. Your discussion 1 is due on the 17th, which is Wednesday night by 11:59, and the 2 replies that you sent to classmates are due on the 21st. Wednesday of next week, I will walk you through how to properly do a discussion. We'll look at the rubric, make sure we know that we're supposed to have a certain word count, and the quality of those responses is very specific in the rubric. So, just about my late policy as an individual. Any assignment submitted up to 24 hours late will earn a maximum of 50%. So if you are an hour late to 24 hours late, you will earn a maximum of a 50. Any assignment after 24 hours late is a 0. That's more generous than St. Thomas's basic policy. However, any complete written assignment submitted on time can be resubmitted for full credit within 24 hours of the grade being posted on Canvas. So if your notifications are set up in Canvas so that as soon as I lock in the grade, you get a notification, from that moment, you have 24 hours to resubmit. I'll be honest with you, especially with week 1, everybody resubmits. Just because it's your first time and there's some learning things that need to take place. And that's okay, because you can still get a 100% with a resubmission. However, if your assignment was late, you may not resubmit because it didn't get there on time. Turnitin is the website that we subscribe to that checks for plagiarism. If you have never used Turnitin, this can be very, very shocking, because Turnitin, what happens, I'm going to show you an example. Turnitin takes the contents of your paper and it dumps it into a database where any and every paper turned in online, submitted online, or published in any shape or form, even as a student assignment, has been turned in. The preferred percentage of borrowed text, and that means items that even that you have used, referenced and cited, is supposed to be less than 20%. But I give you 30%. If you get 32%, 33%, 34%, the paper is returned back to you ungraded. Then you will have 24 hours to correct the potential plagiarism and resubmit with a 30% penalty. Those second submissions are final. Now, in week 1, we have issues that we have to work out, and if I think it's just an experience that you're having where you don't really understand how to cite, or there are learning issues, I take care of that and we work it out. But if you copy and paste a paper that you have already written or someone else has already written, or you take pieces of 4 or 5 different papers that have been submitted by someone else somewhere else at some given time, it's obvious, because this is what it looks like. When I open up your paper, this is what I see. And this number right here that says 25%, that is what percentage of your paper has been said by someone else, legally or illegally. Then there's a link to that paper. When I open up your paper, and this is really, really important because you guys you have to see it to believe it. It's amazing. Every single word that you use that someone else has used, 5 words or more, is highlighted and numbered. So this number 2 came from Peabody Vanderbilt. Okay, so this is where Vanderbilt University assignments are submitted. This number 10 also has a location. So if I click on that, it pops up and the entire text from that original source shows. So this piece here was submitted at Missouri, University of Missouri. And everything that's pink in this white box belongs to Missouri. Everything that's pink here came from that document. So if you're going to cheat, it is going to show. So be very careful about how you cite sources. Now, if you'll look right here, it says Sjogren 2004. This person made an attempt to cite. Sjogren was not a reference. So what this person did is they went into someone else's paper that used Sjogren as a reference, copied and pasted everything. So they actually plagiarized the paraphrased pieces from someone else's paper. This is another example of something submitted to Utah Valley State College. So this week, and this is the reason why I like for the literature preview to be the second assignment, this is going to be a tough week because you're going to be worried about plagiarizing. You have no idea where to find the sources, right? You have no idea where to find the articles. You have to find 5 of them, and you have to find them on a topic in the field of education that you want to create a research study for. So here's how you go about planning a research project. Usually our meetings are 30 minutes. This one might run a few minutes over because this is a difficult week for you guys. Step 1, identify a problem area, a broad area of study. For example, I prefer to study teacher-student relationships. Number 2, examine the literature. The literature usually comes from professional journal articles and or books, usually journal articles. Where do you find these? You find these in the St. Thomas online library. I'm going to show you how to do that. Usually it'll be Journal of Curriculum and Pedagogy or Journal of something, the name of a textbook that's research-based, or another periodical, not a magazine, a periodical that's research-based. You will identify a research question, a hypothesis, or a purpose. So your research question comes first. What is a question you want to answer, a phenomenon to explain, or a hypothesis to test? How are relationships between teachers and students established? Or do teacher-student relationships impact student achievement? Those were the research questions that would come to mind for this example. So when you create your topic for study, it needs to be an education-related topic. If you work in the field of adult ed, it can be about training. It can be about, it can fit into whatever field you're in with a base of education. If you have a question about whether or not your topic is appropriate, send me an email and I'll reply back to you and I will help you modify it if it doesn't fit. But because this is an education degree, either the Master of Arts in Education or the Doctor of Education, your topic should be in the field of education. So let's go back to the preview of the literature. Why do we use journal articles or research-based books? That's because empirical research takes place. And what is empirical research? People doing studies. They're testing hypotheses. They're trying new methods and they're following this method and they're testing it and they're making sure it's valid. Other peers, professional peers, are reviewing and critiquing this work to make sure it's valid. When you do this over and over, that's how education theories are developed. So in going to the professional journal articles rather than just Edutopia or Wikipedia or a blog, we all know how social media works. Anybody can say anything. You're not going to the research-based, tried and true sources. So how do we find these articles? So if you go through this PowerPoint and you click on this icon, it will take you to St. Thomas's University Library. There are also links on Canvas, but I want to walk you through how to find a journal article, because this is the hardest thing. So the easiest way to do this is to scroll down and click on A to Z databases. And databases are collections of professional articles. All right. And the best source that I can think of for the field of education is EBSCOhost, which is from Eric right here. So at some point you'll be prompted to log in with your password. And it will give you access. Okay. Hold on just one second. I've got an emergency call. I am teaching online. Can you call Daddy? All right, thanks. Sorry about that. When you have a 17-year-old, everything is an emergency. So when you get to the EBSCOhost database, you're going to do a few things so that you're narrowing down your search. Peer-reviewed, full text. That way you know I'm going to have access to the entire article, and I'm going to have peer-reviewed, which means that it is a research-based article. So then you need to be within 10 years. So you're going to put in 2000, we'll just go ahead and do 2007. And then if I am going to do research on teacher-student relationships, I'll put that inside, and then I'll click search. And it located 2,163 articles based on teacher-student relationships that are all from peer-reviewed. And I made a mistake here because it put 2007 as the latter date. So I'll have to go back and change that. No wonder. So we could go back and change that date. So within these articles, you will see everything that has been published professionally, and this is where you will find your article. Okay, so yes.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
You're fine.
I had a question from a previous comment that you made. You stated that the assignment number 1 is not due until the 14th.
Mm-hmm.
For some reason, and I'm not sure if it's my browser or if I'm reading wrong, but my document said that it's due on the 10th. So I'm the one that submitted early.
Okay. So
I knew it was wrong.
That's okay, honey. Listen, let me show you a quick solution. If you go to the calendar view in Canvas, your introductions are due, and I will tell you they changed the deadlines on you. So don't stress out about that. I'm going to tell you about how we can fix it. So you click on assignment 1 and it says due January 14th at 11:59 p.m. and these are the criteria, which I'll talk about that in just a second. So if you'll send me an email to remove it, I'll delete it, and then you can resubmit it when you're ready. That's how easy it is for me to delete it from the system. So just send me an email, and then it won't be due until Sunday at 11:59, and that will solve your problem. Okay?
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Okay, so basically, synthesis is combining ideas from multiple resources, putting them together to create a whole brand new idea. And that's what the literature review is about. It's where you take information and you figure out what is not known, what the gap is in your literature, and that's why you need to have a study. So can you synthesize information from only 1 or 2 sources? No, because you have to create multiple perspectives in your synthesis. So if you only have 2 sources, then it's obviously not synthesis. It's just, it's 2 perspectives. So the scoring criteria for assignment 1 is to preview the literature that points to a specific problem to be studied. Your title needs to fit the problem. There need to be 5 references and 5 in-text citations. And that's a minimum of 5 in-text citations. So you need 5 research-based books or 5 journal articles. And you have to do the in-text references based on APA style and the reference page citations based on APA style. And this is huge because most of you guys were under MLA format if you did anything in your undergraduate program. So this is the rubric. So those 6 bullet points are how we give you the grade. This is how you use APA. This slide explains how you list a reference in APA format. This is something that I created because it's just, visuals are so much better. Last name, first initial, second initial, comma, and sign, which is different than MLA now. Last name, comma, first initial, second initial. And the period after the second initial, then parentheses, year, period. You only capitalize the first word of the article title. This is different than MLA. You indent the second line. You capitalize after a colon only. Then your journal title is capitalized and italicized, comma, volume is italicized, issue is not italicized, and it's in parentheses. Then the page numbers are listed without a P. If you've been doing MLA, you're going like, what? So this is your format, and this is why I like to do this in week 2 rather than in week 1, because your head is going to be spinning. So when you submit this reference page to me as part of this assignment, I'm going to point out what's wrong, and I'm going to give you a chance to fix it. Okay? So my problem with this assignment being first is we needed to do something before the literature review. Otherwise, there's too much going on in your head when you're trying to do APA format 2. So what I am going to do is I will discuss with you next week if we want to push out assignment 2, because assignment 2 and 3 are a draft and a resubmission. Maybe we'll just resubmit the literature review a second time instead. We'll talk about that. Okay, so typical example of a literature review. I'm only going to do this for a second because I've already provided you with a copy. See how we have a running head and a page number and a title page. Times New Roman, 1-inch margins, literature review, introduction. Then we don't have author, article, list. We have theme. All right, common theme and multiple sources within those. It's very different. I've given you a Microsoft Word document to use as a template. So you can't retype over this one, but you can retype over others. Here's how the references are done. Here's how the reference page is done. So I'm feeling your panic, and I can't even hear your voices. So I just want you to know that you guys are going to be able to resubmit if you need to without penalty. We'll get through this. I have provided for you within the PowerPoint examples of how to include quotes. Page number here, date, that's an example. How to do a standard reference from a direct quote. Long quotes where you indent, where you put the page number. I'm giving you everything. You just have to take the time to take a look at it. 2 authors, paraphrases, no quotation marks, but the author's name and the date. Okay, so here, these are examples, the best way to learn are through examples. I have also provided you with sample reference page entries, research publication, journal article, book, online journal, article from a book with an editor but has a different author than the editor. This is all writing that I have done myself, and you can use as examples. If you have a source with no author, you can click on this link and it will take you and show you how to do it. I've already explained a little bit about the library to you, but I want to skip through this because you can look at this on your own because I only have 7 minutes. And then we'll talk about next week discussion board etiquette. So now, if you have a question, take yourself off of mute and let me see if I can help you out. Any questions? Samuel, you're okay? Click on, I'm going to unmute you. Are you okay?
I think I'm going to be all right. I know I'm going to have to really sit down and take my time to really read over everything because I'm not familiar with APA format.
Right.
Well,
and I'll tell you, most people are not familiar with APA format. Most people have not written essay type writing since English sophomore year in college. So I'm here to help you with it. And I'll promise you the literature review is the hardest part. The final proposal at the end is not even as hard as the literature review because this formal proposal that you're creating is a culmination of week 1, 2, 3, 4, all put together into a final document. So it all builds, but the literature review is the hardest because it's the first time you're hit with APA format. I'm here to help you on that. I don't want to say I'm an expert in APA, but the other professors come to me about APA. So I'll help y'all figure it out. What about you, Vivian? Are you okay?
I'm okay for now. I too have to go over it again so that I become more familiar, more comfortable with it.
Okay.
If I have any concerns or questions, I'll reach out to you.
Okay. You will not feel comfortable this week, but
okay.
After week 2, going into week 3, you're going to go, oh, I'm so glad that literature review is done. And all you have to do is paste it into that proposal at the end. So we're going to get it right before we move on. I'm going to help you guys. So please don't plagiarize. Do it wrong with your own honest self first, and then let me help you, because this is what I do. This is my job. So I'm here to help you. And Alexandra, what about you?
I'm doing well. I haven't done APA in quite a number of years, not since high school actually. I did mostly MLA formatting for undergraduate work. I actually am really glad that I came for this meeting, because I started looking up sources for the literature review earlier this week, and I did not go through the search engine in the same manner that you did. I didn't select peer review, so I probably pulled things that were not peer reviewed, that were not the quality, the academic quality that we're looking for here.
Right, and that's the reason my meetings are the best meetings, because I help you get where you need to go, and you can watch them again. They're not required, but I'm telling you, I promise you, cross my heart, if you come to these meetings, your life will be so much easier. And having said that, I have had students turn in Wikipedia as sources, even though we had the Zoom meeting. So it's good that you're getting on board with APA and with peer-reviewed sources, but I also understand that most of you have not had a chance to even do anything when Wednesday gets here. I get that, y'all. I get it. You know, I have 3 kids. I was a high school principal. My husband was deployed when I was working on my doctorate, and Wednesday nights I didn't go to sleep. I stayed up 24 hours on Wednesdays to get my work done. So I get it. Y'all have things going on. Go ahead.
So, real quick question. So basically with this, the literature review, we don't technically need the textbook for that right now because of what we're doing. Okay.
Right. That's what I was talking about. I gave you everything that you need. And to be honest with you, I'm probably giving you everything you need every week with this meeting. The first term I taught this class, I used the book, and I couldn't even tell you where
you lifted a little weight off.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you. So I'm running out of time. I've got 3 minutes left. If there's one more question, I'll help you out. I'm not hearing anybody, so you don't even know if you have a question yet.
You actually kind of just relieved the stress of me when you said the book isn't necessary right now.
It's not necessary right now. I replied to your email earlier, but if you're only going to use one resource, use the book when it gets there, because it really lays out the research process very well. And I can't say that about every textbook, but this textbook is written in real people language. It's not written in all that funky, what you call, I don't know, graduate school language, and it really makes sense. And then I provide you with materials too. So guys, when you sit down to write this, it's going to be hard. Find your sources first. Take some notes, note the page numbers, and then find the themes. What are you finding in common in your sources? Come up with a research question and then start writing. But if you don't find themes first, it's going to sound like a book report after book report after book report. We're looking at probably 3 typewritten pages before your references. But if you're a little less or a little more, it's okay. But just sort of give you a perspective on what 5 sources should give you. And there should be plenty of your own words. Otherwise, your percentage is going to go up. So it shouldn't be quote after quote or paraphrase after paraphrase. Okay? So I've got less than a minute. I need to let you go. Email me if you have questions. I hope this was helpful. I'm going to post it online before 10 tonight. Thank you, guys, and happy week 1. Take care.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Sam.